Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. A very warm welcome to this Monday, 22nd January 2024 morning Srimad-Bhagavatam talk. Today we are going to talk about Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 8. Before we discuss on this verse, let's sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe. Jai Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe. Jai Nitai Sachinandana Gaurari, Nitai Sachinandana Gaurari, Jai Nitai Sachinandana Gaurari, Nitai Sachinandana Gaurari. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura, Haribol, Nitai Gaura, Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura, Haribol. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परव्रजाचार्य श्रोत्र शतश्री श्रीमती श्रीमान ग्रेस शिला श्री भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय, प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, मायापुर धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desha Tarine Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu Krishne Matirastu Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 2, Text 8. Durbhago bata lokoyam yadavo nitarām api ye saṁvasanto na vidur harim mīnā ivoḍupam. Durbhago bata lokoyam yadavo nitarām api ye saṁvasanto na vidur harim mīnā ivoḍupam. Durbhago bata lokoyam yadavo nitarām api ye saṁvasanto na vidur harim mīnā ivoḍupam. Word by word, durbhagaḥ, unfortunate, bata, certainly, lokaḥ, universe, ayam, this, yadavaḥ, the Yadu dynasty, nitarām, more specifically, api, also, ye, those, saṁvasantaḥ, living together, na, did not, viduḥ, understand, harim, the personality of Godhead, mīnāḥ, the fishes, ivoḍupam, like the moon. Translation: this universe with all its planets is most unfortunate, and even more unfortunate are the members of the Yadu dynasty because they could not identify Lord Hari as the personality of Godhead any more than the fish could identify the moon. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Uddhava lamented for the unfortunate persons of the world who could not recognize Lord Shri Krishna in spite of seeing all his transcendental godly qualities. From the very beginning of his appearance within the prison bars of King Kamsa up to his Mausala Leela, although he exhibited his potencies as a personality of Godhead in the 6 opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, the foolish persons of the world could not understand that he was a supreme Lord. Foolish persons might have thought him an extraordinary historic figure because they had no intimate touch with the Lord. But more unfortunate were the family members of the Lord, the members of the Yadu dynasty, who were always in company with the Lord, but were unable to recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uddhava lamented his own fortune also, because although he knew Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could not properly use the opportunity to render devotional service to the Lord. He regretted everyone's misfortune, including his own. The pure devotee of the Lord thinks himself most unfortunate. That is due to excessive love for the Lord and is one of the transcendental perceptions of viraha, the suffering of separation. It is learned from the revealed scriptures that the moon was born from the milk ocean. There is a milk ocean in the upper planets, and there Lord Vishnu, who controls the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the super soul, resides as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Those who do not believe in the existence of ocean of milk because they have experience only of the salty water in the ocean should know that the world is also called Go, which means the cow. The urine of a cow is salty, and according to Ayurvedic medicine, the cow's urine is very effective in treating patients suffering from liver trouble. Such patients may not have any experience of the cow's milk because milk is never given to liver patients. But the liver patient may know that the cow has milk also, although he has never tasted it. Similarly, men who have experience only of this tiny planet where the saltwater ocean exists may take information from the revealed scriptures that there is also an ocean of milk, although we have never seen it. From this ocean of milk, the moon was born. But the fish in the milk ocean could not recognize that the moon was not another fish and was different from them. The fish took the moon to be one of them, or maybe something illuminating, but nothing more. The unfortunate persons who do not recognize Lord Krishna are like such fish. They take him to be one of them, although a little extraordinary in opulence, strength, etc. The Bhagavad Gita 9.11 confirms such foolish persons to be most unfortunate. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanum ashritam. Before we discuss on this verse, let me offer some prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Shreshtham Manamapi Shachiputram Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Murupurim Maturim Goshthavati Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasham Prapto yasya pratita kripaya Shri Gurum tam natosmi Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Adanandastrinandante idam yacha punah punah Shriman Rupa Padambhojam Dhulisyam Janma Janmani He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam Canto 3 Chapter 2 Text 8 Durbhago bata lokoyam yadavo nitarāmapi ye saṁvasanto na vidur harim mīnā ivoḍupam. This universe with all its planets is most unfortunate. And even more unfortunate are the members of the Yadu dynasty because they could not identify Lord Hari as a personality of Godhead any more than the fish could identify the moon. Another beautiful verse of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and here Uddhava is speaking to Mahatma Vidur. And he has used the word durbhago. Bata is certainly, loka is universe, I am this. So unfortunate certainly is this universe. Why is the universe unfortunate? Harim ye saṁvasanto na vidur harim. Because somehow or other, one did not understand the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. That is the unfortunate situation. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti mam modha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananta mama bhuta maheswaram. So this is the transcendental position of Krishna. When we are under the conditioned circumstances. So naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrita mudhoyam nabhijanatu mamebhya paramavyayam. So Krishna does not reveal his transcendental potency to everyone. So this janma karmam chame divyam, to understand that Krishna's birth and Krishna's activities are divine, is not easy. Name vidu suragana prabhava na maharshaya aham madhirhi devanam maharshinam cha sarvasha. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, not even great demigods and the great sages know Krishna. And this is what Uddhava is mentioning. We have to understand this particular verse from two perspectives. One perspective is from the position of the unfortunate conditioned living entities, where some way or the other, one is not understanding the transcendental position of one's own nature. Because that is when we understand that we are an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. Mama eva amsha jiva loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. So eternally, all the living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. But Manah Shashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. Somewhere or the other, we identify ourselves with our mind and the five senses. And the mind is called the sixth sense. So somehow or other, when we identify ourselves with that, with the body and the mind and the intelligence and the false ego, then Prakriti Sthani Karshati. There is struggle in this material universe. And this struggle is happening because somehow or other, one did not realize, first of all, one did not realize Krishna's transcendental nature. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. Sachidananda Vigraha. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So this is the first realization that one can have. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna. Sachidananda Vigraha. He is a form of truth, eternality, existence, consciousness, and bliss. Sat, Chit, and Anand. So, Sat is existence. So, existence means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is existing eternally. It's not like how our body comes into existence and body goes out of existence. That is a temporary existence. So, this is Bhutva Bhutva Paraliyate, as it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna. Every time there is Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So the living entity, under the influence of the modes of material nature, has to take body after body. This is Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunai Karmani Sarvashva. Ya Pashyati Tathatmanam Akartaram Sapashyati. So actually, all the work is being done by the modes of material nature. One who sees the real us as a non-doer actually sees akartaram. Ya pashyati tat atmanam akartaram. So our real eternal part and parcel that we are eternally, the only work that the eternal part and parcel of Krishna is doing is to serve Krishna. And there's nothing else that, and serving Krishna in a pure state, it is akarta. It is not actually a work that binds one. So Krishna actually mentions in Bhagavad Gita as well to Arjuna that nigata jvara tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhacha mayarpita manor buddhir mame vaishyata samshaya. So Krishna says that at every point in time, O Arjuna, you remember me and fight. So fighting was the duty of Kshatriya, of Arjuna. So not whimsically fight, but fight to defend against injustice. This is Kshatriya Dharma. Kshat Trayate. Kshati. Kshati means someone being harmed without reason. That is called Kshati. So Trayate is one who liberates. One who liberates the person who is being unnecessarily harmed. So that is Kshatriya. So this was Arjuna's dharma, Kshatriya dharma. And therefore, Krishna said, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu, at every moment, Ma Manusmara, you remember me. And so this is, sometimes people might ask this question that how can one remember Krishna while one is doing one's duty? Because the mind has to be fixed in the duty. And that's fine. At that time, one does not need to remember Krishna. When one is doing one's duty, one has to do just one's duty, fully 100% submerged in that duty. But immediately when one is coming out of doing the duty, immediately the mind has to directly go to Krishna. That is Ma Manusmara Yuddhacha. So while doing the duty, everything is totally concentrated on the duty. When the duty is done, immediately the mind goes to the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai mana Krishna padaro indeo. Vachamsi vaikunta gunanu varnane. Karo hare mandiram arjanadishu. Shrutim chakara chuta satkathodaya. As it is mentioned about Kulashekara Alvar. He was the emperor of the universe. He had all the luxuries at his command. But his mind was always focused on the lotus feet of the Lord. Doing the duty is doing the duty to the 100%. And then immediately after doing the duty, mind is focused 100% on the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is the real fortune, bhagya. So Krishna is called Bhagavan. Bhaga, bhagya. So Srila Prabhupada mentions Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya. So this is said by Parashara Muni. Parashara Muni gives the definition of what is Bhagavan. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasa shriya jnana vairagyavaschaiva sanna iti bhaga iti gana. So when one has full wealth, total wealth, Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya, total strength, power, yasha, total fame, shriya, total beauty, jnana, total knowledge, and vairagya, total renunciation. So someone who has got all this Shad Aishwarya Purna Bhagavan, one who has got all these 6 opulences fully in total. So that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is the person who is giving the fortune to everyone else. Bhagavan is giving bhagya because he has it profusely, it overflows from him. And anyone who is capable of receiving it will receive it. But what is this? Is it the material fame? Is it the material wealth? Is it the material beauty? Is it the material knowledge? Is it the material renunciation? If there is anything called material renunciation. Of course, the real renunciation happens within. Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya sa sannyasi sa yogi cha na niragnir na cha kriya. So when one is doing all the activities without being dependent on the results, anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya, someone is doing the duty in that way, sa sannyasi sa yogi cha. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that such a person is really a renunciant and really someone who is attached to me. So this is, we were discussing the Bhagavad Gita in one of our regular sessions, and we were discussing about this verse, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya pahrata chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhir samadho na vidhiyate. So that is the unfortunate situation in the conditioned existence. In the conditioned existence, immediately when I think that I am this body and I am this mind, then whatever this body and mind is liking, I am attached to it. Bhoga and Aishwarya. Bhoga is sense enjoyment, and Aishwarya is showing off, luxurious, showing off the luxury. So this is Bhoga and Aishwarya. So when someone is prasakta, totally attached to this Bhoga and Aishwarya, taya apaharata chetasam. So unfortunately their mind has been kidnapped. The word apaharata is used by Krishna there. Apaharata is kidnapped. So this is what is naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavrata mudhoyam nabhi janati. So unfortunately, when one is thinking that I am only this body, I am only this mind, and satisfying my senses is the only activity that I need to do, if one is unfortunately in that frame of mind, then unfortunately one is in a hellish condition of life. Even while remaining in the earthly planet, one is unfortunately inviting hellish conditions. Why is that? Because yahi sansparshaja bhoga dukkhayo nayavate adyantavanta konteya nateshu ramate buddha. Because whatever so-called satisfaction or happiness one is getting from the senses coming in touch with the sense objects, that is dukkha yonaya. Krishna uses the word, it is the yoni. Yoni means it is the womb. It is a womb of sorrow. Why is it a womb of sorrow? Because first thing, it has adyantavanta kaunteya. It has got a beginning and it has got an end. So, na teshu ramate buddha. Therefore, an intelligent person does not get entangled in that kind of happiness. So this is raga and dvesha. So basically, since time immemorial, we have been taking birth after birth after birth, and every birth we are somehow or other continuing to go in the direction of sense gratification. Ei rupe brahmanda brahmite. So this is evam mana karmavasham prayunte avidyaya atmani upadiyamane pritirna yavan mayi vasudeve na muchyate deha yogena tavat. So this is the mind is somehow or other being entangled in sense gratification. And unfortunately, birth after birth after birth after birth, one is somehow or other not learning the lesson that that there is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. That this, unfortunately, this existence in the conditioned material universe is the cause of our suffering. Existence in which way? Existence from the perspective of mind. Because mana eva manushyanam karanam moksha bandhane bandhaya vishaya sangha mokshaya nirvishayam mana. So it is mentioned in the scriptures that mind itself is the cause of bondage and mind itself is the cause of liberation. Bandhaya vishaya sangha. When the mind is attached to sense gratification, it is in a conditioned state of existence. It is not independent. Mokshaya nirvishayam mana. When the mind becomes independent of sense gratification, it is nirvishaya, without any attachment to sense objects. Mokshaya nirvishayam mana. The mind is in a liberated state. So that's why Krishna says, man mana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishvasi yuktvevam atmanam matparayana. So Krishna says that give your mind to me, man mana bhava madbhakta, become my devotee, madhyaji mam namaskuru, offer your obeisances to me, offer your prayers to me, mame vaishvasi yuktvevam atmanam matparayana. So when you're saturated with me in your mind, automatically you'll be with me. So this is the transcendental position of Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibhyati swarga apavarga narkeshu apitulyartha darshina. When one has totally surrendered oneself onto Narayana Krishna, then one is not afraid of anything. Na kutaschana bibhyati. Then one might be in swarga, in the heavenly planetary system. The challenge with heavenly planetary system is that one might have all kinds of enjoyment available there and no misery, but still the duration is limited, and the chances of remembering the Lord when one is in that enjoyable state of existence is not possible unless one is totally surrendered onto Krishna. Therefore, wonderful verse from Kunti Devi. She says that let these calamities keep befalling on me. Bhavato darshanam yat syad apunar bhava darshanam. So Kunti Devi mentions that vipada santo tashashvat tatra tatra jagadguru. Let these calamities keep befalling me on us, Krishna. So because the Pandavas were going through so much difficulties. From their beginning, they had lots and lots of difficulties. But always, whenever these difficulties were happening, Krishna was personally present with them, personally helping them to come out of those difficulties. So therefore, Kunti Devi prays that, oh Krishna, if these calamities mean that we can see your lotus feet, then let these calamities keep happening. Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagadguru bhavato darshanam yatsyat apunar bhava darshanam. Because when we see your lotus feet, and when we see you, O Krishna, we do not see the bhava darshanam, the cycle of birth and death. So this is the pure devotional service. Tattenu kampam susamikshamanam bhunjanam evatmakritam vipakam hridvag vapurbhir vidadan namaste jivateyu muktipade sadayabhak. So who is the real inheritor of Krishna consciousness? One who takes everything as costless mercy of Krishna, whatever it be. Sometimes it might be suiting to what one wanted, and sometimes it might not be suiting. But in both conditions, one is taking that as the costless mercy of the Lord. Anukampa. Tat te anukampa susamikshaman. Atma kritam vipakam. And so the pure devotee is thinking that I should have suffered millions and millions of times more, but because the Lord has given his costless mercy on me, he has minimized the suffering. Bhunjanamev atmakritam vipakam hridvag vapurbhir vidadan namaste. From the heart, from the speech, and from the existence itself, the whole existence, one is always being grateful to Krishna. Vapurbhir vidadan namaste, offering obeisances to the Lord. Jivetayu mukti pade sadayabhak. So such a person is actual inheritor of liberation. But liberation, mukti swayam mukilitanjali sevate aspan dharmartha kamagataya samaya pratiksha. So this is another wonderful situation of pure devotees like Uddhava and Vidura, who are talking here in this verse. They are, in a way, eternal associates of Krishna. And here in this particular verse, as I said at the beginning, there are two ways to look at this verse. One is from the perspective of a conditioned living entity who is unfortunately not able to recognize the divine presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like, for example, Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatvat Nama Name. That the name of the Lord is a touchstone, can give one whatever one wants. Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. It is full of bliss, full of one is always in this material world, one is hankering for some kind of pleasure. That is a kind of natural state of all the living entities. Why? Because one is pleasure. Anandamayo Bhyasat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is full of ananda. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavis. So he is full of bliss, full of sweetness. The Madhuradhipate Akhilam Madhuram. Adharam Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram. Nayanam Madhuram Hasitam Madhuram. Hridayam Madhuram Gamanam Madhuram. Madhuradhipate Akhilam Madhuram. This Vallabhacharya gives in Madhurashtakam, the Lord of sweetness. And so he says that everything is sweet about the Lord of sweetness, like honey. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when one has to, Srila Prabhupada mentions, when he talks about Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti Rahasyam Hi Etaduttamam. So Krishna mentions to Arjuna that, "Oh Arjuna, because you are my devotee and you are my friend, you will be able to understand this divine, transcendental secret, Rahasya." And so that is the precondition for going back into our eternal blissful state. It is accessible at every moment. It is not that it is somewhere far from us. No, it is within. It is totally the source is within us, and Why is the source within us? Because we are an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. And so Krishna is Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adidevam, Ajam, Vibhum. So this is what Arjuna addresses Krishna when he sees the universal form of Krishna. And he says that, "Oh Lord, you are the supreme Brahman. You are the supreme abode. You are the purest, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. You are the supreme person. You are the Purusha. From you, everything is originating. You are eternal, Shashvatam, Divyam. You are divine. Adi Devam. You are the beginning of all the demigods. Ajam. You are unborn, and Vibhum. You are the greatest." So this is how Arjuna addresses Krishna. So this is that understanding of Krishna's position as Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Suhradam Sarva Bhutanam. Knowing that Krishna is the actual enjoyer of all the sacrifices and all the penances. Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. That Krishna is the actual proprietor of everything in the universe. We are trying to understand the universe, and when the space shuttles go and try to explore the universe, one starts understanding that it's so vast. We are just, the more we discover, the more we understand how little we know. This is just ekamshena sthito jagat. Athava bhavanetena kim gyatena tavarjuna vishtabhyaham idam kritsnam ekamshena sthito jagat. So this whole material conditioned existence is just 1/4 part. Ekpada vibhuti. There is tripada vibhuti. And the 3/4 part of the existence is the Vaikuntha Lokas. So that is the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's unlimited. It cannot be measured. So therefore, here Uddhava is saying, durbhago bata loko yadavo nitarām api. Yadavo nitarām api. So he is saying that in general, it's unfortunate situation of the universe, and in particular, the Yadavas, where Krishna in the dynasty in which Krishna took birth. Yadavo nitarām api ye saṁvasanto na vidur. So Krishna was staying with them. Saṁvasanta. So Krishna was living with the Yadavas. And harim, mīnā, ivoḍupam. So harim vinana mritim taranti. It is mentioned in the scriptures that without the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, one cannot cross over this constant cycle of birth and death. So this is therefore Krishna mentions that particular verse, Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. So this is the energy of the Lord is divine. Whatever directly associated with the Lord is divine. So the aparayam itastuvanyam vidhime prakritim param jiva bhutam mahabhaho yedam dharete jagat. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, there is a superior energy, which is the living entities. So this is the superior energy is part of the antaranga shakti of the Lord. It is part of the internal energy of the Lord. So the Lord has got 3 types of energies: antaranga shakti, which is his internal energy, then bahiranga shakti, which is his external energy, and then there is a tatastha shakti, which is his marginal energy. So the living entities are tatastha shakti, in the marginal energy. Why? Because the living entities are a combination of internal and external energy of the Lord. So therefore, at every moment, the living entity has got the freedom to either choose to be with the internal energy of the Lord or to choose to go into the external energy of the Lord. So whenever one is in the external energy, it is in a state of durbhaga. It is an unfortunate state. Because in that attachment to the external energy, one does not one does not understand one's eternal position as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. So the example that is given in this verse is mīnāḥ iva uḍupam. The fishes, the fish and the moon. Yeah, that is the metaphor given in this verse, the simile, the analogy. So Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains in the purport. He explains about the ocean of milk, where Kshirodakshay Vishnu is lying, and he mentions about there is a milk ocean in the upper planets, and there Lord Vishnu, who controls the heart of every living being as Paramatma, the super soul, resides as the Kshirodakshay Vishnu. And then Srila Prabhupada very nicely gives the example of how one can understand the ocean of milk, existence of ocean of milk. So he gives the example of the cow which produces milk, and one of the wonderful things about the cow is that everything related to the cow is very sacred. Even the cow dung is antiseptic, and the cow urine is also antiseptic, which is really something wonderful. We don't see like this in any other species of life, where everything about them is sacred. This is the wonderful position of the cow. And the example that Srila Prabhupada here gives is that if one has to treat the liver patient, it is said that the cow's urine is effective in treating them. But because they are having urine, they probably do not know that the cow can give milk also. So it's a very nice, it's a metaphor, and metaphors have got their limitation in terms of how it can be understood, because metaphors people can actually break the metaphor, and then if one is not trying to understand from a perspective of humility, tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshana. So when one has got pranipata and pariprashna, then first of all, if one has to understand the transcendental subject matter, one has to have this amanitvam adambitvam. One has to be humble and not proud. Ahimsa kshanti arjavam. One has to be non-violent, kshanti, arjavam, simplicity, forbearance, acharyopasanam. One is rendering service to the spiritual master. Amanitvam adambitvam ahimsa kshanti acharyopasanam shaucham, cleanliness, stairyam, atma vinigraha. One is in a steady state of mind, and one's senses are under control. So these are the qualities of the person who is eligible to receive the transcendental knowledge. But if someone is in a state of mind of arrogance and thinking that I know everything, I don't need to learn, or if someone is coming from the perspective of trying to critique without any reason, then unfortunately one will not be able to understand the transcendental topics. Sevon mukhe jivhado swayameva surati yada atah Shri Krishna namadi na bhaved grahyam indriyai. So one cannot understand anything related to Krishna or appreciate anything related to Krishna namadi, starting from his name and everything else related to Krishna. Na bhaved grahyam indriyai. One cannot understand it through the blunt material senses. Why? Because the senses are limited in terms of the perception. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is avan manasa gochara. he transcends the manasa and gochara. He transcends both the senses and the mind. So if you want to know the Lord, one cannot know the Lord through the material mind. One has to surrender the material mind to the Lord. Then the Lord reveals himself. Seva unmukha. So when one is ready to render loving devotional service to the Lord, then swayam eva spurati adha. The Lord reveals himself. So it's a process of revelation. And the revelation happens when one has got the humility. So why we were talking about this? Because of the metaphor. There could be some metaphors that people can just argue and say that this is not right. So one of the examples that is given is that if one has to point oneself, if the moon is really very small, and someone has to point to the moon, they give the metaphor of looking through that tree, for example. You look between that tree, and then you will see that there is moon. So that is a way of looking at the moon, but because moon is not seen, one is trying to give some examples so that one can see the moon. So this is the position of all the metaphors. At the end of the day, it has to help one to know one's eternal nature. So when one knows one's eternal nature as an eternal part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that is that state of revelation. So here we were talking about the two different states of durbhaga, of the unfortunate situation. One unfortunate situation is where the living entities are in a totally conditioned state of existence under the influence of Mahamaya. So Mahamaya is the external energy of the Lord, and the external energy is has got this prakshepatmika shakti and avarnatmika shakti. So avarnatmika shakti is the power of covering. So the living entities who are interested only in sense enjoyment, the material energy is covering them, so that unfortunately they are in that situation where they are totally think that the only kind of happiness is the sense enjoyment happiness. And then there is prakshepatmika shakti. Prakshepatmika is the power of the external energy of the Lord, where one is tested whether one is actually ready to go to the next level. So, and why is all this happening? Because to be with the Lord, to be in the presence of the Lord, one has to know the eternal bliss that is there within. Otherwise, one cannot be with the Lord. That is a precondition. And that can only be known when one actually practices that. So it is not something theoretical. It is not something that is just at an intellectual level. It is at a practical level. What does it mean by practical level? The person who is totally surrendered onto Krishna is always in that state of bliss. So one might externally be getting some kind of sense gratification, which is, say, conducive to the nature of the body that one has got. And then in that state, one thinks that I'm in a nice condition and I need to have this eternally. Similarly, if one gets something that is not conducive to the body that one has at this moment, one will feel like one has to run away from it. So this is dvandva. This is the duality of this material world. So therefore Krishna says dvandvair vimukta. So this is the quality of a person who has surrendered onto Krishna. They are free from the dualities of the material nature. Nirmana moha. They do not have mana, pride, or moha, attachment. Jita sanga dosha. One does not have the attachment to the sense gratification. Adhyatma nitya. One is constantly in a state of rendering loving devotion service to Krishna. Vinivritta kama. One does not have any lust. Dvandvair vimukta. One is free from the dualities of the material nature. Sukha dukkha sange. One has got that equanimity in either happiness or distress. Gachyantya one such a person is amudha, not a fool, intelligent. Gachyantya padam avyayam tat. So Krishna says that such a person who is an intelligent person attains the padam avyayam. Padam is that transcendental lotus feet of the Lord, which is avyayam, eternal. So that is the quality that is seen in Uddhava and Vidura. Yeah, so they are, and the other durbhaga is what Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in the purport, where the devotee is constantly, as Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Shikshashtakam, Aslisya padaratam pinashtumam adarshana marmahatam karotuva yatha tathava vidyato lampato mat prananathastu sevanapara. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that whatever you do, Krishna, you can do, and regardless of what you do, you will always be my worshipable Lord. So here, the other durbhaga is from the perspective of yogamaya, because there are yadavas. So there might be some yadavas who unfortunately did not recognize the divine personality of Krishna, as Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. They probably considered him as a historic figure or someone, a great human being. So some of the Yadavas probably considered, so that is an unfortunate situation for them. The other unfortunate situation that is mentioned here is that of one forgetting that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of love for him. And because there is so much love and affection for the Lord, the service that one renders seems insignificant, because the intensity of love for the Lord is so strong that there is the feeling of separation. And that is a very high level of love for the Lord. That feeling of separation, viraha. So there is sambhoga and viraha. So sambhoga is when one is meeting the Lord, and viraha is when one is separating from the Lord. This is the wonderful nature of being in relationship with Krishna. And this relationship is there for all the living entities. It's not that Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabonai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karoyodai, as it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The love for Krishna is Nitya Siddha. It is eternally present in all the living entities, and it is eternally in a perfected state. It's not something that one is trying to perfect. It is there within us in a perfected state always. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. That is what it is. Sadhya Kabonai. It is not something that is sadhya. So there is a sadhya, there is sadhana, and there is sadhak. So there are three elements. So sadhak is a person who is engaging in loving devotional service of the Lord. Sadhana is the activity of devotional service. And sadhya is Krishna. Krishna is Ashraya. So he is our to whom we go and take shelter of. That is Krishna. So he is the goal. Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasa sharanam suhrit prabhava pralaya sthanam nidhanam bijam avyayam. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita about what are the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Gati, Bharta. He is the destination, he is the maintainer, he is the Lord, Prabhu, Sakshi, he is the overseer, Nivasa, he is the residence, Sharanam, he is where we go and take shelter of. Suhrit, he is the best friend. Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam. Prabhava, he is the origin of everything. Pralaya, he is the destroyer of everything. Sthanam, Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. He is the greatest treasure, and he is that Bijam Avyayam, that seed, which is an eternal seed. So this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered under the influence of Yogamaya as well. Therefore, that intimate relationship with the Lord gets established. Otherwise, if one is always thinking that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there will only be Aishwarya Bhava. There will not be Madhurya Bhava. Aishwarya Bhava is Krishna in full opulence. So there, and that is also a wonderful bhava. That is one of the bhavas in the Vaikuntha Lokas, where Krishna is in the Vishnu Murti form. So he has got the Shangam Chakram Gadha Pankajam. Idivilasam Nalu Trikkaigalode. So it is in the Malayalam there is a particular verse. So there is Shankam Chakram Gadha Pankajam Idivilasam Nalu Sankirna Shyamavarnam Harivapalamaram Pure Mangalam Va Shantakaram Bhujakashayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gagana Sadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmikantam Kamalanayanam Yogibhir Dhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanātham. Very beautiful verse describing that Kshirodakshai form of Krishna. So he is Shantakaram. His whole demeanor is totally peaceful. Bhujaga Shayanam is lying on the Ananta Shesha. Padmanabham, from his navel is emanating the lotus flower. Suresham, he is the lord of all the demigods. Vishwadharam, he is the foundation of the whole universe, both the material and spiritual. Gagana Sadrisha Meghavarnam Shubhangam. His transcendental form is like that of the newly formed cloud. Gagana Sadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam. Lakshmi Kantam is very dear to Lakshmi. Kamala Nayanam. His eyes are like that of the lotus petals. Lakshmi Kantam Kamala Nayanam Yogibhir Dhyanagamyam. All the yogis are totally absorbed in samadhi, in remembering him. Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanātham. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Bhava Bhaya Haram. He takes off this the fear that exists in this material world of constantly dying. Bhava Bhaya Haram. Sarva Lokaikanātham. So he is the Lord of all the planetary systems, whatever exists. So this is the transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is what Uddhava is saying here in this verse. Durbhago bata lokoyam yadavo nitarām api ye saṁvasanto na vidur harim mīnā ivoḍupam. This universe with all its planets is most unfortunate. And even more unfortunate are the members of the Yadu dynasty, because they could not identify Lord Hari as a personality of Godhead any more than the fish could identify the moon. So the example given in this verse was that the moon has been born from the ocean of milk, and the fish within the ocean of milk is not able to understand that moon which is outside the ocean and which is so wonderful and beautiful was also coming from the ocean. Because so this is the position of the conditioned living entities in this material universe, that we are, because we are so minute and so much susceptible to be under the influence of the material energy of the Lord, it is not easy to, even though it is the easiest thing to do, but somehow or other, because of the situation of the ignorance that unfortunately one is in, one is not able to see the Lord at every moment. But if somehow or other we can focus even one moment to remember the Lord, Sakrideva prapanno yastavasmiti chayachate abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etadvratam mama. With this, I'd like to conclude. Here, this is from the Yuddha Kanda of Ramayana, where Sri Ram says to Vibhishan that even once if someone surrenders unto me and says, I am yours, O Lord, O Sri Ram, I am yours, abhayam sarvada tasmai dadami etadvratam mama. Sri Ram says that I give that person fearlessness for eternity. So this is the wonderful nature of somehow or other engaging in this loving devotion service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. With that, I would like to conclude. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Krishne Matirastu. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.